Now, we all know that there is a player that has been linked to Arsenal on several occasions and seasons. There is also the same player that has been linked to Man City. And there is a third party in there for you, known as Newcastle, that has gone ahead to join the race to obviously sign the player Neto. And they've gone ahead to be told how much they're supposed to be paying for Neto. But lots of things we are going to be addressing into this chapter of a video. We are also having Pedro Neto speaking out on O'Neill, the manager, on how he has gone ahead obviously turn around the season of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Then we are having Eric Konsa. Remember, he plays for Aston Villa. He has come out and really explained to us on how he feels for his team qualifying for the Champions League. And lastly, Jamie Carragher has come out and reasoned everyone who believes that Pep Guardiola is winning in the Premier League because of the amount of money that he has always gone ahead to be given. He has gone ahead to reason them out, like I've always gone ahead to reason out people on the amount of money that they've always gone ahead to really use as an scapegoat to see to it that they really try to feel themselves or make themselves comfortable with their thoughts in mind. Good afternoon. This is Rokani David, and this is the Football News Show, and you're bringing you this story of Arteta. Pep Guardiola told Wolves Neto stance in there for you, and the battle is on. We thank God for the gift of life. The same applies to Allah. We thank Allah for the gift of life, and may the living true God bless you and bless you abundantly. Rokani David is my name, and let's obviously continue to see to it that all goes our way. Now, let's see close to 400 likes. Smash on this video, and don't forget to subscribe because we want to hit 22,000 subscribers, by the way. And I think by next week we should be there to see to it that we reach the month of June, when you're really trying to hit, I think, 30,000. Before the end of June we should be having 30,000 subscribers, and then for July and August we should be looking at making it 40,000. I told you our aim is to complete this summer transfer window when we're having 40,000 subscribers, but we don't know what God has for us. We can even get more, and we'll be really in the mode to obviously appreciate that and welcome it. Now, John Passy, he's a Midlands football reporter for the Daily Telegraph and Sunday Telegraph. He also does that Wolves are ready to demand a club record of £60 million for Pedro Neto, who is a summer target for Arsenal, Man City and Newcastle. Neto is facing an uncertain future as Wolves brace themselves for offers for Portugal winger. But the club will seek a huge fee despite his issues with injuries this season. And I think if you've gone ahead to see what price players have gone ahead to be signed at, 50 million pounds has become the new Nemo to be the bare minimum. That is it. And I wouldn't like to see an Arsenal fan coming out and say, oh, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. No, to me, it's not, because it is really one of those yardsticks that people have gone ahead to say it outside there to say to it that they get in what we call players. Good players are into that ilk. You know, if you want to get in a good player, you should be willing to spend between 50 and 100 million pounds, and that's where players are. When you look at other players that are being put in that ilk of Pedro Neto, Olise, 65 million pounds. I think even Gerard Bowen is like 60 million pounds. Which other player is being looked at who is left-footed and is really playing very well? I think those are the only two that have gone. Those are the only three that have gone ahead to have a very wonderful season. And very many of you will be asking yourselves, why is it that this man costed? This man, his price tag is at 60 million pounds, yet he really had injuries. I tell you, when you look at Pedro Neto and the season Pedro Neto has gone ahead to have, he has almost had the same number of goal involvements with Olise. He played 20 Premier League games, scored 2 goals and put up 9 assists. Now, let's go to Olise. Olise. Stats. Olise played 19 games, 10 goals and 6 assists. You see? Not a huge difference in there for you. And that's why the price is almost the same. But Man City will have to weigh in and really see how things are really going to pan out. But I think Man City have the money because they went ahead to sell Carl Palmer for £45 million. You know, they're having players they might really move on. For example, Yao Cancelo, I think this time around they're going to call in for money. There is what's the name? I've forgotten the guy. They bought him from Leeds. Then after, Calvin Phillips, right? He's also on the move out of the side of Man City. Which other person are they gonna sell? I think they can sell like 4 players, and there's some other players that have been on at loan at Burnley, Sheffield, and very many more that they are willing to get money for. So, with them earning in some huge money, completing the quarterfinals of the the Champions League, winning the league, then the FA Cup final, I think Man City will get in some huge amount of money to spend. And for me, £60 million for Pedro Neto at City will be peanuts. You get? And I think the same applies to Arsenal because Arsenal, as I've always told you, they need players that are supposed to take them to the next level. That is it. Arsenal need players that are supposed to take them to the next level. Arsenal don't need players that are a work in progress. You know, when you look at Pedro Neto and his performances in the Premier League, he has been really, really consistent. Though injuries have obviously hit him bad in the previous 2 seasons. Yet, when he came in through, I think it was 17, 18 years of age, he wasn't really that injury-prone player. And they might be looking at him and they might be telling the physios of Wolverhampton Wanderers that, please, can you pass on the injury record and how you've been treating this guy and see how we are going to really match up with him. I think that will be the plan for the side of Man City and Arsenal and Newcastle. That's why they're really looking for him. When you go to Arsenal, they are linked to very many wingers. Olise is really going to be very competitive. Pedro Neto, the competition is going to be stiff. And I don't know what they're really going to make as a decision, a choice to obviously sign. Will they go Olise? Will they go Pedro Neto? Will they go Nico Williams? You know, I did a story about Nico Williams, and Arsenal fans were like, we are not interested in him. You know, for Arsenal fans to show you that they're really interested in the player, it depends on the views. You know, you see this Fede Kadioglu guy, people are really watching him hugely. Ishak, Bruno Guimaraes, Arsenal fans are really watching him hugely because they know exactly what it means to obviously have him in there. So, we just can't wait and see how things are really going to pan out for this deal. But they've been told £60 million on the table. And I think those are peanuts because this guy, he is what we call a fire engine. I tell you, he's a fire engine. He's that guy that is going to come in through and really give Bukayo Saka the push that I've always going to be talking about. You know, at Man City, they are lacking that player to play onto the left, so on the right, attacking side of the midfield. That's why you sort of it that sometimes they're going to have to play there Bernardo, the other times they're going to have to play there. There is this other guy, Phil Foden. Yet the manager believes those 2 players can operate better into the middle of the park. They're really looking in for a replacement of Riyad Mahrez, and they're also looking at Olise and Pedro Neto. So the battle is going to be on. Who has the convincing tongue? Arsenal proved to Man City last summer that they can get in their priority signing at the Emirates. Now, who is going to be doing this? Because the battle extends to Bruno Guimaraes and Douglas Luiz. They all need these players. Now, Pedro Neto, Olise, meaning that they are all want to fish in the same pond. And who is really going to get the big fish to fry? Obviously, the person with the hook that has the most attractive bait on it. So we wait and see how this pans out. But for Newcastle, I think they need a competitor with Miguel Almiron. That is it. Newcastle need a competitor with Miguel Almiron into that position, and we all know that. We all know that they need a competitor for Miguel Almiron, and that's why they are going in for Pedro Neto. But they'll need to first move on players to bring in other players like Pedro Neto. And if I told them Pedro Neto, I think the best team to go to, for me, if I'm Pedro Neto, is Arsenal, because he can easily get into the starting 11 of Arsenal than getting that of City, because City has Foden and and Bernardo Silva, although Bernardo is expected to leave the side of City. But I tell you what, they are really a hard nut to crack. You understand? They are really a hard nut to crack. So, all I want to let you know is simple. One, Pedro Neto is up for sale. Wolverhampton Wanderers is willing to sell. Now, how are you going to come in through to break the bank and obviously put in a shift to obviously bring in the player? Have I used the word breaking the bank in a very wrong perspective? Because can we say that paying £60 million is breaking the bank? I think it's breaking the bank for Newcastle, but Man City have signed a player worth £100 million and Arsenal have gone ahead to do so. So I think breaking the bank, extends to Newcastle, and at Arsenal, those are the average fees. They've gone ahead to bring in players that they've always gone ahead to win. Now, Pedro Neto, after the last game they played, he came out and said the following. He said, we have to thank O'Neill a lot because of the players have improved individually. There was an unbelievable improvement after we came in, and we should be thankful for him. The little details made a difference, made a big difference. We cannot be happy with the 14th place, but the start to the season was how it was. The performances this season showed we can do more. That is Pedro Neto, and he's like speaking, or putting out his farewell message to them, because I tell you, it's going to be hard for Pedro Neto to obviously stay at the side of Man City, and to let you know that even Manchester United is eyeing Pedro Neto. Provided they miss out on Olise and very many others, they would look at Pedro Neto and see how things are really going to pan out, to see that everything really goes ahead to be doing better and better and better in there for you. So that is it for Pedro Neto. We wait and see who is really going to come out and really do this deal. And the summer transfer window hasn't gone ahead to go into full pelt because teams are not playing the Champions League. Teams haven't gone ahead to play the final of the Champions League. FA Cup is still there. We are having the Euros. But I know no sooner the Champions League gets done, then the fever is going to be on, because the summer transfer window, I think, is going to be opening onto 14th June, the mid of June, in there for you. Now, there are very many people that have always gone ahead to obviously discredit the manager of Man City, that he has gone ahead to win all the trophies and really dominate the Premier League because of the money he has been given by his bosses. I've always gone ahead and really argued that out, and I told people that don't use that as a scapegoat to really not address the real issue. The real issue is this guy is the best manager in the world, and you know that very well. Jamie Carragher has to go ahead to school everyone who thinks that it's all about money. He has said, in terms of Pep Guardiola, he still spent the same as Manchester United in the 8 years he's been there. All Chelsea, I don't think the 115 charges affect Pep so much in terms of judging him as a manager. That is it. Let's give Pep his props. And if you are not giving Pep his props, then you are turning out to be a sadist. Pep deserves his props because he has gone ahead to do the needful, and we've all gone ahead to enjoy this man at Man City, and he has gone ahead to obviously set the bar so high. I think when you get in a manager that really has a different competitive mind, lots of things change. I remember when Jose Mourinho came in here, there is a season he had 90 points plus. He had Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger had taken the bar to 89 points. When Mourinho came in through, it required the club to be having close to 90 points to be winning the league, because the competition was really stiff and intense as a huge competitor came in through. And that's what Pep has gone here to bring in the league. When you look at the budget of Pep Guardiola and the budget of Manchester United, they've been the same. And I find it very insane for people who come out and really think that Pep is using money to do it. Manchester United has gone here to spend more money I think, than Man City in the last decade. But who has more trophies and who has not put in huge serious trophies? It's all about the manager. And let's give this manager a very huge applause, because he has gone ahead to turn around the season of the side of Man City, and you see to it that he has even started to produce managers that are really making huge rounds to compete with him. For example, Arteta is at Arsenal 2 seasons in a row. He has been competing with Pep Guardiola. Vincent Kompany closing into becoming the new Bayern Munich manager. That is really one of those that we're supposed to come in here and really even talk about to the fullest. So I want us to obviously come here and really understand that it doesn't come that easy because very many teams really have budgets. But even if you have your budget, it doesn't mean that you are really going to excel. That is it. It's written nowhere that we get here big budget, you are going to excel. You know? So, all I want to let you know is simple. Let's give Pep his flowers. The 115 charges started way back. All were considered way back, even before Pep Guardiola came in through. So, we don't know what's going to happen, and they're going to be hard in June. If at all they scrape off titles from Man City, Pep Guardiola is not to blame, because he has been doing his job and he was taking his bosses. I want to do ABCD, and Pep Guardiola is not responsible who to sign and who not to sign at what price. His role is to sit with the board, scout players, and come out with a perfect resolution on who comes in first, who comes in last. And the financial department of Man City had to sit down and really find out the biggest prize, or the biggest reward for these players when coming in through. If anything went ahead to go astray in the financial department and they breached the rules of the Premier League, that doesn't really scrape Pep Guardiola off any of his earnings, because he has earned the respect by doing the needful, and he's the best manager. And there is a quote I would look for Jurgen Klopp, where he came out and said, talk of the breaches, talk of what, he's the best manager in the world. And for everyone who doesn't believe it, you are going to die in denial. You'll die in denial. That is it. You'll die in denial. So you just have to come out and really acknowledge that Pep has really done it. Because Manchester United, the team I support, has gone ahead to get the same budget, and they've brought in managers that are really elite, but they've not been able to even come close where Man City has always been. So that's why we always feel good for that. Jamie Carragher, we agree. Though we have always gone ahead to disagree with him on several occasions when he puts out statements, but I tell you, I agree with what Jamie Carragher has gone ahead to say on Pep Guardiola. Now, Konsa, this is one of the amazing talents at Aston Villa, and Konsa, on qualifying for the Champions League, remember Aston Villa have qualified for the Champions League, I think for the first time in 42 years. He said, it's really exciting and something that I'm looking forward to very much. I've never played Champions League football before, and it's our first time in 42 years as a club, so we can all look forward to next season. Now, do you know what it means to be playing in the Champions League for the very first time in 42 years? These are players that will walk down in history that they took Aston Villa back into the Champions League. Though, I don't think that it has been that elite side that deserved to win the Champions League. The reason as to why they went to the Champions League is because Manchester United imploded because of injuries. Chelsea also imploded, and they couldn't come into that ilk, plus Tottenham Hotspur. But I think they have a good manager, and they have players, but they are not that team that can come in through into even the top 6, I tell you, if at all the following teams really raise up to the occasion and really coming through to really compete. Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, Chelsea, you get Newcastle. If those 4 teams really come into the ilk, I tell you, Aston Villa will be good to play Conference League. I tell you, they'll be good to play Conference League. That is it. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. But for Konsa, I'm really excited for him. He's really having an amazing season. He's really one of those players that has been even in the England national team. So we are here to wait and see what else he's really going to be adding onto his career in here onto the Football News Show. That has been what I had for you. Arteta and Pep Guardiola told Wolves Neto price. So where do you think he's going to go? Konsa can't wait to play in the Champions League for the very first time for his team after 42 years. And Jamie Carragher, what do you make about it? If Man City are proven guilty and they're scripted or they're script off those trophies, what do you think it's going to be like? Will Pep Guardiola's work all be in vain and it will be in the mud? Or it will be Man City to blame, not Pep Guardiola? Rokani David is my name. I sign out for now. See you later. May the living to God bless you abundantly. We out. And 5 fingers up to everyone watching in. Bye-bye.